Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Voices from the Mausoleum. We're back with another episode of Monday Morning Musings with my co-host JR from Horror Fiend TV.
How's everybody doing? Yeah, this one's gonna be kind of fun. Let's get ready to munch out. Probably gonna be a nice breakfast episode.
Yeah. Definitely watch this episode loud while you're having your Thanksgiving meal with your family coming up. So today we are talking the general topic of cannibalism and horror.
Yum yum yum.
Yeah, there's actually quite a bit. I narrowed it down to things that I had seen, like for my list for notes. I narrowed it down to things that like I knew really well or remembered really well because I've seen a lot of horror movies with cannibalism, but I tried to keep it to like more popular ones. I think I have a newer one on my like notes. So anyway, so that's what we're talking about today: cannibalism.
Yeah, it's an interesting topic because if it's done right and if it's done for a good reason, it actually makes the movie good. But if it's just there to be there, sometimes it just doesn't. It's just the wrong bite.
I keep telling you you're not allowed to do puns on this show. You're only allowed to do puns on your other shows.
Can't help it.
It's just who I am. Yeah, so cannibalism is an uncomfortable thing. I think to your point, like a lot of times, like I've seen it added where it's like a shock value thing versus like a thought out storyline or plot line or something that makes like you said, like makes sense or fits for a purpose other than to make you go ew.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, like there are a lot of movies that they're just put into the place and it's just I don't know. I'm not big. I'm big into the story value of it. So like I said, if it's something that has to tie into what's going on in the premise of the movie, I love it. But if it's just there just to add a little, like you said, a little like shock value, then you're ruining the whole purpose of it. To be honest, just my interpretation.
Time out. I have donut on my face from Oliver. And I can feel it, and I didn't know it was there. Gross. I'm sorry. I could feel it like on my face, and I was like, "What is that?" It's donut from where he kissed me after he ate donut earlier. Fucking gross. Kids are so gross. Okay, sorry. Yeah, no, I agree. I think, and so we both saw this one recently. I know you want to talk about was it Swedish? What was the French?
It was actually Russian.
Was it Russian?
It was Russian.
Oh, you're right. But the family was Swedish.
No, the family was Russian.
Going to Sweden.
Going to it was a Finland.
Oh, Finland. I'm sorry. That's right. Yeah, I knew it was something. Okay.
Yeah, and it tied into the whole premise of the Midsummer festivals. But the way they tied into it was definitely I found it very interesting and very unique.
Yeah, so it's a found footage movie called Shopping Tour about this. The short version is it's a mother and son. They have like a rocky relationship, and they go. They're traveling. They're doing this thing together. They're traveling all over the place, and they get the opportunity to go into a shopping mall and do shopping like by themselves. The mall's like closed, and they realize shortly after arriving there that the people who brought them there are cannibals, and they're trapped inside the mall.
Yeah, that was a. And that's like when I was just Googled one day. It's like, hey, international found footage. Never heard of it. That's where cannibalism. I was like, hey, let's watch it. Yeah, well, I like
like cannibalism. Sign me up.
Well, I like about it too is the fact, like I said before, it tied into the Midsommar.
No, it had like a whole background story. Yes. Like they like believe that like if they didn't at least have one human being that like they were going to be like bad luck or something. Like there's like a whole belief system around eating another human being.
But it had to be a foreigner.
It had to be a foreigner. I'm sorry, that's right. It couldn't be.
That was a good twist.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't say anything about the ending just in case people want to go watch it. But
are you finished? Are you foreign? Yeah, the ending was pretty cool. Rick might not like it though, because Rick has a thing for that type of ending. But that was cool, and the fact that the whole town was part of this whole.
It's cool.
Festival, yes.
That one was good, And you're right. It definitely made the concept of why they were cannibals was really nice. And like, because lore is not something I normally ascend. Well, it's going to come in handy on one of the ones I'm going to mention at the end. But lore is not typically something that's associated with cannibalism. You have like background stories on individuals, but to have like a whole belief system around it was really cool.
Oh, definitely. And it had its gore. Its gore value was there. I mean, some of the shotgun scenes where people are getting attacked were actually pretty creative. I liked it.
And creative in a sense that like it's all, I'm pretty sure most of it's practical, if not all of it. It's very
Mm-hmm.
like it's like a B film, but because the story is so engaging and the shots are chosen so like wisely, you almost wouldn't really know that. It's a really good mix of the two, like what's the word? Like experiences, like a B film
Yeah,
and then something that's got like higher production value. So that one was a good one. Yeah, Shopping Tour.
definitely.
Hmm.
I know. And another one for me, back to the international market, was
Mm.
a German film. I'm sure you watched this one. Was Frontier,
Frontier.
and Frontier was the premise of it. You had this basically bank robbers who were
Hmm.
escaping the cops, and they stumble upon looks like this small, basically is a house with a garage and stuff. And little did they know that underneath the whole property, there's literally a meat market for human meat, and they're all cannibals, which was a good twist because you didn't get it at first. And that's what I liked about the film is this the shock value was basically these people on the run getting there, and the family were,
Hmm.
if I'm correct, they were dressed with the, I think the father grandfather was dressed like in Nazi paraphernalia.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, to kind of tack on to what you said about the fact that you don't really know that at first. There's a lot that happens before you realize what's
Yes.
actually happening because there's like locked up scenes, there's almost escape scenes, there's a lot leading up to it that is very misleading on purpose. So then you don't really, so then when it happens, it's like it kind of just like, whoa, like you weren't expecting that.
No, very good movie.
Yeah.
The kill scenes are,
It's pretty brutal.
yeah, which ties into most international films. The kill scenes are always, they don't hold back on, especially if you like I don't know, like one of those table saws. That was probably one of the best ones in the movie. But if you watch that table saw scene was, I don't know, it'll split you in half.
You're in timeout.
It's
You're
just
not
it just it just
allowed.
it just, it just comes out.
Oh geez. So one of the ones on I had to look at my notes. One of the ones in on mine, it's not, I don't know, I guess you could argue this probably isn't actually a horror movie, but Book of Eli with Denzel Washington and Mia Kunis. Like, so there's a couple of things where that movie is brutal, like rough. Like there's a lot of like really bad stuff going on in that one, but it's so good. Gary Oldman as a villain, like such a good movie. Anyway, but there's this particular scene, I think it's like maybe like halfway into the film when the our two main characters, they come across this house and this lady's like trying to help them and she's being so sweet. She's like, come inside, it's safer in here. Like Mia Kunis' character had just been attacked and there's like all this stuff going on. And they're like in the kitchen or at the table or something. And it's been a minute since I've seen this one. And he tells her, Denzel Washington's character is like, don't eat that. And he's like, look at her hands because her hands are like messed up, I guess, is like how he could tell. But basically she's like, she's trying to play it off like they just had some frozen meat left from before the apocalypse that happened like 50 years ago or something. And he's like, no, 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 no. And it turns out that this lady is like in the middle of the like nut barren wasteland, like killing people that show up at her house and then eating them. And that's like but the lead up to it is like you kind of already don't trust her, but you're not thinking cannibal. She's like this like Professor Trelawney from fucking Harry Potter. Like that's what she looks like. Like you're not thinking she's about to serve you like some guy's arm or something, right? So it was just a really good scene and it's really clever. And he's so like blah about it.
Yeah.
And she's so like her reaction to it, she's been a bit sheltered, her character. She's like, oh my God. Like it's really good. I like that one.
Well, another one too is one that came out this year, and it got I watched it. I thought it was a very good concept, very good movie, very good casting, but fresh. I mean,
Yes.
we're basically we have a movie about, you know, people who have trouble dating. And then 30 minutes into the movie, you finally get to realize what the movie is really about. And Sebastian Stan, guy plays a very good villain, very charming villain, and he has an appetite for the exquisite. And that's, I think, what made this movie pretty interesting. And I don't know, it felt original and creative to me.
It is. It's actually in the running for maybe being on my top list for the year, I think. Just because it is so creative and the performances were banging. Like they were so good. And I'm all for anything that's like black society stuff, like dark society, secret societies, this like underground like channel of people who like spend all of their money paying this guy to kidnap girls and send them their meat, their pictures from their phone and their underwear, whatever it is, like all these little things. Like there's something like so believable about that like secret society stuff always hits like a like checks a bunch of boxes for me. So Fresh was really good. Fresh was very unique. I really liked it a lot because it's 30 minutes until you see the title card.
Yeah, I love that.
It's so clever. Yeah,
I love that so much. And the fact that at that 30-minute mark, his personality changes.
Whoop. Yep. Yes. It's like 2 movies.
Yes.
It's really good. Cute. And if you're a woman over the age of 30 and you've ever had to date, like this movie's gonna resonate with you because this is a huge commentary on what it's like dating past a certain age, because like it's some of the stuff that they say, like their commentary back and forth. It was so well done, funny, dark, witty. I loved it. Super good film.
I don't know. What do you think is probably the best as far as personality for the cannibalism films?
I think I see where you're leading into. I don't think we could talk cannibalism without talking Hannibal Lecter, right?
Yes.
So that's kind of everything, because it's multiple movies, it's books, it's a TV show, which is oh my god, Michael, what's the guy's name that plays Hannibal in the show?
I'll be honest,
Mads Mikkelsen.
Is the show good? I never watched it.
Watched
it. All right, never watched it.
You've got to remedy that. It's so good.
How many seasons?
3.
That's not bad.
I'm looking. I think it's 3. Anyway,
talking
about the movies.
Yeah, I never watched it, but yeah, like as far as the introduction of the Hannibal Lecter character, now remember he actually originally came up, was it Red Dragon? Was the original?
Yes.
Where he first, which wasn't played by Anthony Hopkins at the time, but you didn't really get too much of the background of Hannibal Lecter much in Red Dragon, but once you got introduced to Silence of the Lambs, you learned about that
a lot more.
Yeah, he's a cannibal, but he's very classy. He's very picky on the meat he chooses, and as far as even the social status of the person. So he just doesn't go around eating everybody. He's very picky at what he does. Unless you're some FBI guy hunting him down and he wants to pick your brain, but that's the only time he went out.
One of my favorite parts. Yes. So Silence of the Lambs is also really big in horror history, because horror does not typically, it may be a little bit more so now, but definitely not before. Never got really, if it did get nominated for Oscars, like it never won anything. And it won Best Picture, I think, for the Oscars. Silence of the Lambs did. I think that's right. I might be wrong on what it was, but anyway, but it's a big deal because until that film, like it wasn't, horror didn't win stuff like that. Not at the Oscars, the old people awards show, like that didn't happen. So it was a big deal. Silence of the Lambs broke a lot of things. Yeah, I really like, you got to watch the show. The show's 3 seasons. You should watch it. It's really good. Really good. And I loved all of the movies, and Silence of the Lambs is another one where we have this like iconic villain who has like no screen time. He's in the film for less than, I think, 10 minutes total for that film, for that specific one. He's in the other one more, but that's the one that he's not in very much. And it was it's fantastic. It's really well done.
No, it was very, very good. Very Anthony Hopkins. That really, I mean, the guy's a tremendous actor, but
Yeah.
he really took that character to a different level and gave us a horror villain with a great personality.
Yeah, he's very charismatic, very, very
Yes,
well read, smart, cultured, like next level.
no, definitely.
Yeah. Um, The Hills Have Eyes.
Something always about the inbreds.
Yeah, because it's in Wrong Turn as well, a couple
Yes,
of different ones.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so The Hills Have Eyes is a very like uncomfortable watch. Whether you're watching the new one or not, doesn't matter. They're both really, really, really uncomfortable. Um, Yeah, so and those are I mean, those are more the ones that like don't really have a lot of depth to the reason other than like that's the lifestyle they live, right? Like it's not
Yeah.
like there's not this big like giant plot around it, but it's still really creepy and uncomfortable and it still grosses you out, when it comes to those parts of those films. But yeah, so it's worth mentioning. A lot of people are familiar with that franchise in general. So um and then I wanted to mention a video game because it's horror related and but it also has to do with it's the video game called Until Dawn, which came out like 6 years ago. It's an older game, but it's the one with like Hayden Panettiere and like it has the guy from the Robot Show and it's got like a lot of people in
Oh,
it, but
nice.
it's done like a slasher to start, and then you get about halfway through the game and suddenly it's not a slasher. It's actually a monster movie game. It's a decision based game or a quick time game. So it's not actually like there's not like combat or anything. But anyway, but it's essentially a story about a Wendigo. And Wendigos, for those of you who are not familiar with their lore, there's a couple different ways that the story gets told. But essentially, what happens is when you create the taboo sin of cannibalism, you become this creature that then can only consume human flesh and it takes over, mind, body, soul, yada, yada. You're no
Yeah.
longer who you were. So in the beginning of this game, these twin sisters fall off of a ledge. And we think as the players or the viewers, if you watched it like I did, because I'm not scary games scare me, and they die, and then when we realize that there's actually a creature hunting the characters we're playing, we learned that what happened was one of them survived and then ate her sister to try to survive, and then she turned into the Wendigo, and
Oh,
that's the rest of the video game. It is like it was so well played up like a slasher that when you get to the point where you're like, oh shit, that's like a monster, that's not and you don't learn what it is and why until much later. But I remember I watched it like a movie instead of playing it, and it was like it played out so beautifully. And when it gets to that moment where it's telling you, like filling in the blanks, you're like, she ate her own sister to try to like survive. It's so fucked, but it was so good. And it was such a great like concept in the game. And
yeah.
it was so despicable and disgusting and wonderful all at the same time. So it was worth mentioning.
It's like mentioning was it Live with the soccer team that crashed in the mountains and
Oh,
that,
yeah.
it's not horror, but it's
I know what you
kind
mean,
of
though.
based on a true story. Like,
Yeah, there's a ton of cannibalism horror movies. There's a ton. I was trying to look up the ones, like I just searched because I was trying to see like what other ones I might think were really good to touch on. But it was like I was amazed at how many there were because I haven't seen all of them obviously, but I just was like, man, there's a bunch. So, cannibalism horror for your eating holiday.
good breakfast treat. You should watch it. Yeah, watch it while you breakfast. I don't know, a little side of ham, some bacon.
Gross. Yeah. So yeah. Did you have any other movies? Was that it?
No, I think that's it. I mean, that's it. Yes.
That's enough. Oh yeah. Anyway. Okay. Well, yeah, that's our Turkey Day episode. Cannibalism and horror.
Make sure you grab that turkey leg.
Gross.
Yeah, who grabs turkey leg? Come on.
I would start. Like if I was ever put in a survival situation like that, I would die. I would die. Like I don't have what it takes.
I'd be a vegetarian right away.
Yeah, I don't have what it takes to eat another human being. I just don't have what it takes. So that's our episode on cannibalism. Have a great holiday if you celebrate it.
Yes,
Take a
enjoy.
nap after you eat.
Spend time with the family and
Spend time
watch
with the
some football.
family. Yes. Oh yeah. And if you do the parade, watch the parade. My parents still do that every year. Watch Charlie Brown Thanksgiving or whatever. I don't know. Whatever people do on that day. But anyway, cool. Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us on our episode of Monday Morning Musings. We will be back in 2 weeks with another episode. So we will see you guys then.